So, what I have for us today is, we've been doing a lot recently, especially where we bring guests, and a lot of the focus has been towards the report design, visualizations, and all of that. So I felt let us do something formula related again. So this time around, I decided I'm going to try to explain in a less intimidating way how the formulas in Power BI work. So we all know that the formulas in Power BI are called DAX. So DAX, which stands for Data Analysis Expressions. DAX, Data Analysis Expressions. So these are the formula we write in Power BI. Okay. I'm going to share my screen right now because I think you are not seeing what I've been writing so far. It just occurred to me that is the other fridge is still there. I'm going to share my screen. Apologies that there are some background noise at my side. The building opposite mine, I don't know what they are celebrating today. So DAX, Data Analysis Expressions, these are the formulas we write in Power BI. So I have prepared to start from scratch. No slides, no PowerPoint. Let us do whatever we can do in the next 1 hour. Hopefully, by the end of the next 58 minutes, you should get a new level of confidence in you being able to go into Power BI and start writing things. And you should even be able to see problems that people are trying to solve, and you will be able to know where they have gone wrong, with their formulas. So that's why I said I'm aiming to simplify DAX for us. So what is the file I want us to use? So I've opened a file that I'm going to use as our data file. Now, if you look at my screen, this file has transaction ID, date, branch, the product that was sold, the SKU of product, the price, unit price, the quantity that was sold, the discount that was applied for that sale. So some people are maybe not eligible for discount, some people are eligible for discount. So when you are eligible for discount, we put the discount. When you are not, it's 0. And the time the sale was made, right? So this is the file that I'm bringing into Power BI that we're going to use together to practice formulas, okay? So I'm going to go as usual into Power BI. I think I need to let my screen be bigger for you to see. Let's see if I do that screen view. Zoom. Okay, this is good. So if I go to Power BI, the first place you normally will go is get data. So the moment I go to get data, and in my own case, it is an Excel file. So I'm going to bring in the Excel file. I have it in my desktop, and I have it in a folder called Power BI. And the name of the file is sales data. Sales data. So I'm going to bring it into Power BI, and it's doing its work. Something should come up on my screen very soon. Okay, so it has detected the Excel file. It is showing me all the sheets I have in the file. The sheet that I need is the sales data sheet. It is doing a preview for me. I'm going to tell it that I want to transform it so that I can just do some quick adjustment on the table before I bring it in. So I say transform data. Let me zoom out so that you see the entire screen. So I'm saying I want to transform data. Okay, so that is going to bring up another screen. Okay, so this is the transform data screen, the Power Query screen. Okay. I'm going to now do the quick transformation that needs to be done on this, which is I need to promote the row 1 to header, right? So I'm going to say use first row as header. Okay, so that is one thing. I take a quick look at everything. Are they looking right? This is number, date, ABC, which is text. 1 to 3 is number, 1 to 3 is number, 1.2 is decimal number. This is date and time. I'm going to change it to time. So it's going to ask me, am I sure I want to, yes, carry on, replace the current. And then I can see there are some additional columns that it has brought in that I do not need. So I think it has brought in 3 more columns that I am not going to use. They are empty. So I'm going to pick those 3 and say remove these columns for me. Okay, and so I think this table now is looking the way I like it to look. I'm going to say close and apply. So it's going to bring it into okay. So it's while it's loading, let me just quickly tell other people in the groups I normally see and tell them we have started. We have started. So it's still loading. Let me zoom the screen so you can all see. Okay, so it's downloading. And as you know, in Power BI, when you bring in data, right, you will always see it on the far right side, and you will see the fields that are in the table you've brought in. And more importantly, on the extreme left side, you are going to see 3 sections of your Power BI work. There's the report, which shows the report canvas. So this is the report canvas where whatever you are designing is going to show. And then there is also here the data, this place called data. This is reports, this is data, this is model. So data, this is where you will see the table you've brought in, the data you have brought in, and you can begin to say you want to create new columns, write formulas. Some formulas you want to write, you will want to write them here because you will be able to see instantly the outcome. Okay, so now let's talk about the formulas. So if you remember what I said, the formulas we write in Power BI are called DAX. Now there are 3 types of formulas. So there is new table, new measure, new column. Okay, so these are in all, any DAX formula you are writing is going to be one of these 3. Now, let's forget about the word DAX and just think about formula. Any formula you are writing, no matter how simple it is still called a DAX. So if the DAX starts looking like a very big terminology, just say formula, right? So let's look at my screen. You will notice that in my data, I have unit price and I have quantity. Something is missing. If you come to my store, maybe you bought this chivita, and it's 500 for one, and you bought 5 of it, right? Is it not normal for me to also create a field and call it sales amount? Okay, so that's what I'm going to do. I want to create a calculation that is sales amount, and the calculation is very straightforward. It's just quantity times unit price. So because what I'm creating is going to be calculated for every single row, I'm going to create it as a new column. It's going to be something that will be like an additional column. There's going to be like an additional column here. And it's going to be like, like a new column, and there'll be figures, blah, 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 blah inside here, right? So this now is what we call new column in Power BI. Okay, so let's quickly do that. New column. So doing it, not difficult. All you have to do is come up here, say you want to create a new column. So the moment I say I want to create a new column, in Power BI or DAX, right, there's a consistent pattern. The name of the column to the left of equal to sign, the name of the column on the left of the equal to sign. I'm going to call my sales amount, right? And the formula I'm writing to the right of the equal to sign. So on like Excel, many people will be like, I'll just come here and I'll click, boom, unit price. And then I'll go and take times. You see now there's problem. My formula has gone off. It will not work. You can't click. You have to write. So it uses what we call Intellisense. What is Intellisense? It's a big word for just autocomplete. So let's just say it does autocomplete, okay? Which means you just start typing a portion of the name. You see, it comes up, and then you do tab to pick it, or you double click to pick it, whichever is convenient for you, okay? So I'm going to say this times the quantity. So this times the quantity. The same way that autocomplete I have mentioned will come up. Sorry, all the zoom and zooming I'm doing is always interfering once in a while with what I'm trying to do. So I go and pick it, tab, right? I do enter, and instantly this is going to do the sales amount, okay? And you have, as you have in Excel, you can do the format and say it should be comma separated, or it should be, in my case, I want it to have Naira symbol, currency symbol. Okay, so this is a new column. What we've done right now, it's a new column. We've done a new column. It's actually the easiest to grasp. Now let's go in and try and do something more interesting. So I'm going to scroll down on my. So now what I want to do is, let me see, somebody, I don't know if the person is in this session right now. So somebody gave me a task that I needed my help on, like messaged me and said, oh, he's trying to filter out people who met some conditions in his own data, right? So now imagine in my table, let's even go to the Excel, let's not imagine, just look at my table. So if you look at my table, right, I want to extract the people that we gave discount of 10% to. So I want to extract people we gave discount. Let's do something a bit more close to real life. In fact, I want to extract people who bought 5 or more quantities of their products, of our products. There are transactions that were 5 or more quantities. So if I want to extract transactions that are 5 or more quantities, How do you do this? If you are in Excel, why I'm using this is I believe people are already familiar with Excel. So I want to let us to start thinking on a level that is already where we are. If I'm good with Excel and I know that Excel applies some of the concepts, then think about it. Is it not for me to come in here and say filter my table, right? And say I put a filter and say I want greater than or equal to 5, right? And once I do this, I'm going to have an extract of my original table that will be showing only records that are greater than or equal to 5, right? Good. In Power BI, we can do the same thing. When you are doing the same thing in Power BI, it is going to be called a new table, because I'm creating a new table out of my existing data set, right? So we're going to go to Power BI, right? And then I'm going to do a formula. But the formula I'm going to do is going to be called new table. By the way, I found out that you can find it easier to just right click anywhere and just do whatever you want sometimes. But anyway, if you go to table or if you go to home menu, you will always see all of these things too there. So I do new table, right? So when I click on new table, I'm going to call this my, so that you understand the formula I'm using, I'm going to call this my filtered table, right? And guess what? The name of the formula I'm going to use is also called filter. So that's why I say, if you think about what you want to do, if you think about it the way you will have done it in Excel, you will find out that the same pattern is going to work here. So I'm going to say filter. So filter for me, right? That's my original table. What's the name of my original table? Sales data. Filter for me, sales data. That's the name of the table. Now, by what condition? Go to quantity. So go to quantity. Quantity is greater than or equal to 5, right? And then I close the brackets. And that is it. Filter the sales table where quantity is greater than or equal to 5. And if I press enter, I'm going to get a table that will come out. So it's working. The answer is going to pop up soon. And are you noticing? I am getting an answer that is the same thing as what I have here. Okay, so now I've exposed us to table formula in Power BI. In Power BI, you can't just, okay, you can, but then you can also create, so I'll tell you the usefulness of this table now, right? So you've seen me do a formula that works on a table, filters a table and gives me the outcome of the filter table. And you know what? It has created a separate table for me called filter table. So now I have an outcome that is also a table, right? Good. Now let's begin to build on what we are doing. So I have filtered transactions that have 5 or more quantities. Next question is this. I want to know how many transactions have 5. So let's say this is task 1. This is task 2 now. 5 or more quantities. So think about how we would have done this in Excel. Is it not that I'm going to do a kind of count? So I can come in here and say in Excel, count, the transactions, but Excel is also nice. You can just easily select the entire column. I've over selected it now. And if you look at the bottom, where is my, so 416, so 416 416,193. If you look at my screen, 416. Okay, so I'm going to unzoom my screen, and then if I go to Power BI, I can do something like that. So there's a formula in Power BI that I will say count rows, right? So if I come in here, I can tell Power BI that, you know what, I want to do a report where I want to show my manager or show somebody that is interested in this. So I can pick a card, or I can pick anything, but let's say I pick a card, right? And I want to show how many transactions are in that category that we have said, right? So what am I doing essentially? Look at it. I'm going to come in here and say I want to create a new measure. A new measure is a formula that when you write it, let me go back one step. When we did a new column, an answer came out for every single row. When we did a new table, an entire table came out from thin air. It's like abracadabra, like boom, a table that never existed before came out, right? But then there is new measure. New measure is a kind of aggregation, a calculation that you will only be able to apply the result of the calculation in a visual. When you do new column, you can go to your data side and you will see the answer right in the table. When you do new table, you will see a table come out from thin air. When you do new measure, you are not going to see it anywhere until you drag that measure into a visual. What am I calling a visual? Or not, what is called a visual? So you don't think I'm the one just calling it a visual. These are all visuals. You know, all the things we use in creating our report, they are visuals. So measures typically are put inside a visual. Until you put it inside a visual, you probably will not see the outcome, the answer of your measure. So I'm going to now write the measure that will count the stuff for me. So new measure. So where was I? New measure. So I'm going to call it count of, I'll call it count. The name, I don't want the name to be long. Transactions greater than or equal to 5. So that the name will not be too long. Transactions greater than or equal to 5. Let's just call it this. This is looking very weird. Let me just call it transactions count. GT5 greater than or equal to 5. So count rows. But now this is where it is interesting. Count rows. Do I need to have done the table that has already been filtered? No. I can write it inside here and say count rows, but go and filter the original table, which is sales data, right? And get for me where the quantity is greater than or equal to 5. So what is this going to do? It's going to generate, first of all, that table that only has records that the quantity is equal to or greater than 5. Then it will count the rows inside them. Okay, so let's do that. So once I do that, once it's done, I will see the answer on my right side. I'm going to drag it into the card, and I'm going to see, can you see 416,000, right? What did we get in Excel? Let's go check. If you remember, what was it we saw in Excel? Are you seeing that we have not entered bush, right? Are you seeing that is matching what Excel told us is the answer, right? So are you seeing that there is a kind of a, that's why they say all analysis too, there is a lot of similarity. There is first of all the thinking it and then using the formula that that tool has inbuilt. So now let's begin to build on this. So right now I've touched a new column. I've touched a table formula. Now I've done a card for us, right? Now let us try to go one step further. This is showing us the count of transactions that meet the condition we have set. Now, what if I'm not trying to count the transactions? I'm not trying to count the transactions. What I want to do, I want to sum the money we made. I want to do like a sum if, right? So in Excel, you will have done sum if the, let's go do it together now so that we can always compare results. If I remove the filter that is here, so if I want to see if I want to sum if the range, quantity are, and I'm saying where the okay, greater than 5, greater than or equal to 5. Maybe I should not have used this example because now it will start looking like this one self is looking more difficult than the, but anyway, let's do it. So in Excel, you do sum if, and then it's going to show you how many transactions. This is really large. How do I read this? Is this billion or trillion? Quantities greater than 5. Is it greater than or equal to? Greater than. So the sum, right? So some of the quantities, right? In Power BI, similar approach, but different formula. So again, new measure. So I go in here, I say new measure, okay? So the formula that replaces sum if, count if, and most of all these conditional type formulas we do in Excel is the almighty calculate. So I call it almighty because it is the most important formula in a Power BI. Now let's build on what we have done before. If you remember what we have done before, we were able to filter out the sales data, right? And said where quantity is greater than or equal to 5. So we know this one. Clear. We are experts. We already understand what this one is doing. But then I am not trying to do count rows. So if it was count row I was trying to do, I would just write count rows, right? No, I want to sum the quantities field, right? So I want to sum the quantities field. So for me to sum the quantities field, I have to use something like a sum if, right? So in this case, the formula that does sum if is calculate. The formula that allows me to be able to specify a condition that will be met, and my formula should now work on just the outcomes of that condition is calculate. So I'm going to say calculate. Apologies that my face is like, sometimes I'm looking there, I'm using two screens. So calculate sum, which is the formula that we actually needed, the sum of quantities, right? Sum of quantities. Sum of quantities in our sales data. I close that bracket. I now say, comma, the filter. So are you seeing how this is building up? I am putting the calculation I want to do inside a calculate. Then the filter that will have helped me to extract what I need is now also going to be inside that calculate. I will do another example where we'll write it from scratch. I'm just trying to tie together what we have learned up until now to how everything kinds of begin to build up. So I am saying that Power BI, go and grab for me the table, filter my original table, filter it to just quantities greater than or equal to 5. Now, when you have filtered it, do the kind of a sum if sum only records that meet. So this outcome now, this outcome, which is a table, is what it will now run this sum of quantities on. So if you remember when we did this, it was a table that came out, right? So that table that comes out is what I am now running this sum of quantity on. Clear? So if I press enter, let's see the answer that comes out, and let's compare if it's going to be equal to the one we saw in Excel. It should be done by now. So let me just drag it onto my card. So the formula is this. I'm going to remove this other one, and I'm going to drag this one there in its place. Okay, so it says there are 3 million. We can do a quick check anyway, but so it says 3 million. That means what I did in Excel is wrong. Let's go check what I did in Excel. What did I do in Excel? This one is showing something really crazy high. What did I do? Let me just type the formula again. Let's even do it in a very easy way. If you select quantity and you say quantity is greater than or equal to 5, right? Greater than or equal to 5. And then I'm going to select the answer that comes out from there. And then we go in here and check. Where is that? Oh, so I think I was looking at the wrong place before. Can you see? The sum is 328. Yeah, that's 3,287,000. I think this is correct. So let's check. You know, you can tell Power BI to not summarize the value anymore. Where is the... to just display it as it is. Can you see that they are matching? So great. Anyway, let me put it back to that summarize so it looks easier to read. So you are getting me up to until now, right? Nobody lost. I hope nobody has entered bush yet. Okay, so are we getting?
We are following.
Good.
Yes, we are following.
Good.
So
okay, so let's begin to add more complex stuffs. So if you have gotten it up until here, then let's begin to think about, I want you to really know this calculate to understand how it works, right? So let's say, let me think about something a bit more complex. Okay, let's go to the Excel. I'm in the Excel. I want to Okay, let me go step by step. Let me not jump really high. So let's say, in addition to what we have done, I'm only interested in a particular branch, right? I'm only interested in Ibadan branch. Okay, so I want to see total quantity, but for Ibadan branch. So again, how do I take it further from what I have done, right? So what am I going to do? Let me just duplicate this, copy, paste. Okay, and yeah, so I'm going to do it on this one. So let me just create a new measure. So we are going to create and say Ibadan that has more than 5 records, right? More than 5 quantities. So Ibadan, let me just summarize Ibadan transactions where is greater than or equal to 5 is going to be equal to, now I'm writing the calculate from scratch. Yeah, so Ayodeji, you, in fact, I like the way you have put it. Does that mean that calculate solves the equation from the innermost to the outermost? Yes, you are getting it. So everybody, the way she has said it, I needed to even get it that way, because as I start doing some other examples, you're going to notice that you want to start from inside out in your thinking, even if you're writing it from outside in. But for you to really grasp what is happening, you need to know that it starts from inside out. So anyway, I'm going to write from outside in now that you already understand that part. I know it's going to be calculate because I'm doing a formula that is conditional. It's going to calculate only when the branch is Ibadan and when the quantities meet, 5. So I'm going to say sum of quantity, right? And I'm going to say sum of quantity, yeah, sorry, I was thinking something else. I've seen one problem we are going to create for ourselves. So let's finish this one. It's a very interesting problem I've conceived now. That's the word, right? So filter sales data, right? Where the branch is equal to Ibadan. But there is wahala. We also need to capture where the quantity is not just branch equal to Ibadan, but quantity is greater than or equal to 5, right? So how do I do that? You know the way you have in Excel that there is an hand formula. There is also an hand in Power BI, and there is also a shortcut. But let's start from general to shortcut afterwards. So, and what's the other thing I said? Quantity is greater than or equal to 5. I close that bracket. So this one shows you what bracket is closed, right? I know I need to close the filter one, then I need to close the calculate one. Okay, so if I do enter, this should give me the values that are for Ibadan branch only, where the quantity sold is greater than 5 or equal to greater than and equal or equal to 5. So let's go test it out. Let's drag this here. Okay, so it's telling me 410 quantities, right? Were totally sold in Ibadan, and we could be using the money. Maybe it's the money that is important to us. We can change this. I think money makes more sense, right? So let's even change it to the money part and say it's not quantity. Let's even check out the sales amount. So Ibadan sales So let's begin to talk about what is much more important to the business people. About on sales where quantity is greater than 5. So let's see. So 1 billion, right? So now let us create a very interesting problem that will help you to understand what is happening in Calculate. You will see I'm spending a lot of time on Calculate. You will use it a lot. When I work on client project, if I'm using 200 formulas, and I'm not exaggerating, there are some projects I use up to that amount of formulas, like 100 is involving Calculate. Maybe even 127 is involving Calculate. So let's think about a situation where this table, right? I now want to show every day what we sold. You know, we have date here. Let me even let it show as a proper date so that you will know it will be easier for you to follow along. So I've changed the format. So I want to show every day what we have sold. Let me tell this to be time only. I think I'm on the wrong table in this one. No wonder. This is the right table. Yeah. Because I know I've done all this before. Hey, great. So on this table, right, I want to show every day what we've sold. Guess what I'm going to do? I'm going to create a new formula called new table. A new table, I'm going to call it a daily summary. And summarize sales data table by dates. And by date, right? And what other thing should I say? Let's do by date and by date. Let's do by date and get the total sales. So I will now say, so you can do a calculation. You can say you should show me total sales. And then you will define what is going to be in that calculation. It's going to be sum of sales amount. Okay. So this one now, if I hit on enter, I'm going to get 2 columns. Day by day. Let me just tell this to show in that date style again. Let me tell this to show in our Naira. Okay, great. So you can see every day I'm seeing what we are selling, right? And what we sell oscillates between 15 million and 17 million every day. So I have an interesting question for us. Now imagine I want to count how many days we sold, more than 17 million. You know, if you are doing this manually, is it not just to come here, put a filter and say greater than 17 million. 17, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? And it's showing me 135 records, like there are 135 days where we sold more than 17 million. Now this thing I've done, right? Couldn't I have done it as a formula? Yes. As if I'm not interested in this table, I just want the count, right? Instead of doing this table and doing things, we call it helper columns in Excel. I can take this formula you are looking at. I can go to my report page. I can create a card. And I'm going to in this card that I've created, I'm going to put how many transactions we made sales of more than 17 million. So see, I need you to follow me on this one. If you follow me on this, you are going to, if you get it, it will take you to a new level in your using of calculate. It will take you to a new level in your formula, DAX formula. So days sales above 17 mil. Remember, this formula is going to give me all of the day-by-day sales and how much we made, right? Now, how do you filter? How do you filter to just the ones that are more than 18, the ones that are more than 17 million? Is it not to write a filter? Is it not to say filter and say where the total sales are, which is this total sales here, is greater than 17 million. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? This is going to filter for us all of the records, that all of the days that we made more than 17 million naira sales, right? So what do I want? I want to count how many days. Is it not for me to now say, you can even use count rows if you want, right? So let's start with that one. I say count rows. So how many rows are meeting this condition? So how many rows is now in our final filtered table, right? So are you beginning to see how you can write a really long formula and it's not going to be looking like giving you a headache? Why? You already understand what you are trying to do. I am trying to first of all summarize my sales table to become day by day and then be doing total sales for me in front. But now I don't want to go and create it as a table separate. I want to just create it inside my formula so that this table that I'm creating now is only inside the formula that it is being created. I'm now saying, now filter that table to only contain records that have more than 17 million naira sales. So that's when we further shrink my table to just the records, the days that I have more than 17 million naira sales, right? I'm now saying, okay, get me the count. Right? So if Mr. Shonda asked me the question earlier on in the morning, if for him he wanted to count how many transactions had more than some number. Some people might want to say, okay, how many sales rep met their targets? So instead of you going to be doing many steps, you can just write it in one formula. You know what? Count for me. Go through the entire sales transaction table. So go through the entire sales transaction table, right? Summarize by the sales rep. Me, I'm summarizing by date. No, you will summarize by the sales rep. You say, get for me their total sales. So this one will get you everybody one by one and what the total sales they did is, right? Or did have, whatever the grammar is should be. Then I will now say, okay, if the target is, I don't know, maybe for you guys, every month your sales rep, maybe they have equal target. So if the target is 17 million naira, so how many people? So filter for me, how many people did more than 17 million naira? And if for you, everybody has a specific target, perfect. Just go and pick the field that has the target and just say where the sales, total sales is more than the target that they were given, right? And then that one will get you all the table of just people that met their targets. And then you now say count for me. So let's do this and see the answer, right? Anyway, after all this talking, if the thing doesn't work, I will just disconnect the call. I will say it's internet or something. So let's put this in the because after all of this explanation. So it's saying 135. Let's go check what that one too was saying. So this is telling us that 135.
It was 135.
Oh, so
The first one was 135 as well.
oh, okay, perfect. So you see, now you get the logic. So many times when we look at all these DAX formulas, to be sincere, when someone tells me his formula has a problem, I should help him fix. Imagine you tell me your formula is faulty, and this is your formula. I'm going to have a headache because it's not easy to. If you see the way this formula is working, it's working from outside in, inside in. So it's not very easy for me to look at this and easily understand. So most times I try and break down the step. Okay, what are I trying to achieve? I'm very good with Excel. I think about it, if I'm doing this in Excel, what will I be doing? And so that helps me to break it down to, okay, I will first of all do a summary table that has everybody and what they are doing. Then I will, so most of the times, by the time you think of it that way, you start writing your own that way. You might find out that your own formula might even end up becoming longer than this, but you will understand it because you build it from ground up. So now I want to do something again that will now be like the icing on this our cake. So I'm going to go here, do another card. Where is that one showing now? Okay, great. So you know we did count, right? Count. What if I want to now say, okay, I want to sum all the sales that we made in those days that we did more than 17 million naira. Maybe I want to now later show a comparison and say on our high sales days, we made this amount. But anyway, the key thing is I'm not counting anymore. That's what I want to show you. I'm not counting. I want to calculate the total sales. Ready? So I can copy this that we have used, right? I can copy this that we have used. I can go and do new measure, right? And then I'm going to say sales in days where we exceed 17 million. So what was the total sales we made on the days we exceed? So if I paste this one, since I am no longer counting, by the way, in DAX, you can be able to break them into more than one line so that, especially in my case where some portion of my formula is no longer showing. So I'm not counting. So since I'm not counting, I can remove the count rows. So we are back to the one we already know. I summarized the table day by day and got the sales amount. I now said it should filter that summarized table to only filter to show me records, filter down to records that the total sales was more than 17 million. So now what am I trying to do? I'm now saying, so see, what's wrong with my mouse? Great. Calculate sum, in fact, yeah, calculate sum of total sales. Calculate sum of so I want to see the very name of the field. Yeah, it's total sales. So calculate. Let me see if this will come up. Sum of I want to call up that total sales in my, and I want to use calculate. I want to use something else. Okay, not a problem. I will use another method. So I'm going to select column in this and pick out just the total sales column. This thing wants to disappoint me. Calculate. Sorry, I'm going to type it first. So I'm going to type this first. Sales. There's a reason why I don't want to explain before. Let me just type it first. Then be sure there's something I'm unsure of. But once I type it and it works the way I want, the explanation is not difficult now. It's easy to explain what is working. It's when you explain and it's now not working that can be very embarrassing. So I think it's done computing. So I'm just going to drag this in here. Okay, great. Then let me just go and confirm it. I'm going to just go in here, add the filter, and I'm just going to grab the column. Though I think it has worked, but I want to use this as an opportunity to be sure that it's the way I thought it out, that it worked that way. So I'm going to do a sum of the total sales. I need to reduce this to filter where total sales is greater than 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7 million. So let's check. Is this figure the figure I got? I think it's the figure I got. One cannot be too sure. So this is 2.7379. I think it is 2.739. Okay, so great. Perfect. So it's going to be sweet to explain now, because it can be very funny if what you've done, what you're explaining is not aligning. 2, 3, 4. There's a slight difference. No. So let's see this. Let me just give it a comma style. Okay. So 2, 3, 4, 5. So 2.345 billion. Okay. Total sales. Okay, greater than or equal to. Sorry. Greater than or equal to. So it's matching 2379. Okay, so the explanation is going to be sweet now. So are you ready for my explanation? So but more importantly, joke aside, the thing is, why I wanted to show you this is, are you looking at my filter? Are you seeing that my filter is having something that is considerably different from most of what we do? Most of the time when we think about applying filter and calculate, a lot of times most of us are always thinking about so let me comment this side out. We're always thinking about something like, oh, filter and directly I must write the table that I want to apply a filter in. That's what most of us think of. You know, very few of us ever think of putting another kind of formula like summarize or putting in something a bit different in our filter. And the funny thing is there are some computations you want to do that's the only way you can get to it. Like this one that I'm saying now, if I didn't do this, I don't think there is any other way I could have gotten to it in this same, or let's see. Okay. Yeah, there's no other way I will have gotten to it in this same so in this same calculation, right? So when you think about what you want to do, think about it the way you will have done it in Excel and start building it up there, and you'll find out that you will end up getting the very same answer you are looking for, just that you will be using the pattern that Power BI expects, which is, in my case now, if I'm going to break all of this down, if I'm breaking all of this down, maybe we will write it afresh. If I'm breaking all of this down, I start from the inside. The inside, the innermost is summarize. I am summarizing the sales data table. I'm summarizing it that it should do for me day by day, right? And then once it's done, the day by day total sales. So day by day, total sales. I now say it should further filter it for me, right? So filter it so that I'm only seeing records that are above 17 million. Now,
hello, Michael.
Yes, sir.
Michael, sorry to ask this.
Yeah.
When we did this summarize, we have said you should summarize.
Oh, Mr. Babajide, hey, I was
yes,
trying to was speaking. Hey, this one even looked a bit like that one that we did in class, right? That I now, you can see that you can even put the summarize inside the formula.
Yeah, correct. So my question, just for that clarification, is that by the time you did your summary, let's say it's only summarize that you're trying to work on. Summarize sales data by date and sales amount. So I'm wondering why we are putting total sales as a text again. Sorry to take you back with that. Because I've already seen the two parameters, which is sales data date. That's the date and the amount that we want on the new table normally. So why we putting total sales in text again? What is the value of this total text we've put in the inverted commas?
Awesome. So this one I can even show us a new. If I come in here, let's do a new table. So if I do a new table, right? So we know summarize sales data, right? Let's even use something different. Let me summarize by branch.
Okay.
Now, when I summarize by branch, I now want to see total sales. So I can say total sales. Now that will be the name. If you look at my screen, you will know that even Power BI is telling me that I'm currently writing name. I need to write the calculation, the expression that will be under that name. Why this branch I did is the group by. Are you getting me?
Okay. So we must still put the header for the sales value.
Yeah, so that when he's doing the calculation, when he's doing the sum of the sales amount, it will be doing it, the answer will be showing underneath total sales.
Oh, that's the header.
Yes.
So why is it not telling us to put header for branch as well? That's just a bit confusion.
Okay, I'm not calculating for branch. I'm just summarizing by branch. If you are familiar with SQL, this would be like group by, like I'm grouping by branch. I'm like remove duplicate of use pivot table. Hey, thank God we are Excel people. If you are using pivot table approach, it would be like you put branch in the row to be the thing that it will do the summarize by.
Mm-hmm.
And then you now put like sales amount in values, and you now say you should do calculation. You should do sum or count or average and do whatever I want to do, right? So that's like it. Anything you are doing a calculation for, it now needs to know the name. Sorry.
Let's see.
It now needs to know the name that it should put the calculation under. Okay, let me do the enter anyway, because once I do the enter, maybe it might be easier. What did I do? I forgot to put a bracket here and close the bracket here. Great. So have you seen what it has done? At least you've seen the outcome.
Yeah.
The question is, why am I doing this? If I put only branch, I'm only going to have the unique branches. Let me throw small complexity. If I put product, which is pizza too, I'm going to have for every branch all the products. And then it starts another branch all the product. Are you seeing the pattern?
Yes, I am.
But now if I want to do a calculation, I have to call that calculation, give it a name first. Before I will now do the calculation, I can now say my calculation is 10 times 20. And that's it. It will do 10 times 20 for everybody. Are you getting it?
It's fine.
And it will call it calculation, right? So in my own case, that's not what I want. I want it to do total sales.
So
that's why I'm now saying, okay, the calculation I want is total sales, and it's not a static figure I'm timesing. Go and just sum up the sales amount. The sales amount. Let me close the brackets again. So is it clear now?
Yes, it is clear.
Okay. All right. So is there any other thing I'm supposed to? Okay, so this is where we will round it. Another day we'll do more or pick something else, but at least I don't think anybody should see calculate and you should be confused about what is happening inside it. That's my main goal for today. And the inspiration came from yesterday's class, so I have to thank them, Mr. Babajide and Mr. Sam and Madam Bumi and Mr. Dave. So they were the ones who, it was from that class I felt today, let me even just focus on calculate and try to be sure that people are not forgetting how it works. So opportunity for maybe one or two questions before we say bye-bye to ourselves today. Any question from anyone?
Okay, for me, it's not the question, but then I would just like to say that today's class was an expository one. Even for the fact that I already have, I'm already certified Microsoft data analyst. You know, every day you sit down, every day you sit down and you think that you know it all already, but then every day you keep seeing it in another dimension, in another way entirely. And to think that this class, I wanted to just sit down and say, okay, maybe I just wait for the recording. Because I have a report I wanted to build against Thursday, but now this class that I attended now has given me another dimension to what I can achieve with my report, and I really want to thank you. I'm looking forward to I'll meet you one-on-one anyway. So that's another day. Thank you very much.
Well, Corona is almost over, so maybe I can start thinking of one day that this meetup will just be a physical day. So maybe I don't know, maybe it won't be Sunday, maybe it will be Saturday. We'll just do it like everybody gets to see one another, and I don't know. So it's possible. So thank you very much. My head is swelling already. So thank you to everybody, and I think with the absence of any more comments or all, let me just check. I can see the chat box lighting up. Maybe there's something someone has said. Okay, all right. So nothing else.
The chat box is not working from my end, but thank you very much for today's session. It was good.
Hey, Mr. Godson, thanks. Thanks for
Thank
joining.
you.
I'm still enjoying your music.
Thank you, sir.
All right. So bye to everybody and have a nice week ahead.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Okay.